Why are you running for state representative?
Because I truly believe I have solutions and I have answers to the problems. And I believe my 69 years here on earth, I've actually really went out of my way to find the answers to solve some of these problems. And the other reason was because I didn't want someone to run without opposition. That's the truth. I probably wouldn't have done it if there was somebody else running. I didn't know there was somebody else running when I put my name on the ballot. So I just think you should give the people a choice of candidates. So that's the main thing. That, and I really believe I could fix these problems. I really do.
What do you see as the biggest issues in this election?
Well, the biggest issue in this election is education and crime. Those two things are really should trouble all of us. That when you're going to a Frankenmuth, that's different. I'm not talking about Frankenmuth. I'm talking about our school systems in these low-income areas where there's no, they don't have, when you're looking at a lot of single parents, it's very difficult. And so I think education is probably a priority of mine, and I do believe crime is another one. And the key, I believe, is bringing the entrepreneur spirit and to try to create opportunities for the distress is what I call it. I don't call them poor. I don't call it the black community. I call it the distress. So.
Voters have identified, especially this year, the economy and inflation as issues that are important to them.
Mm-hmm.
How do you plan to address that in office?
Well, there's no doubt the economy is an issue, and inflation has caused pain in everybody's pocketbook. How do I address them? By turning to the private sector to get more involved in the government sector. There's no reason why we have such a high inflation. There's no reason why that we really cannot. Why is there empty buildings all over on I-75? We're on I-75. We're next to the biggest tourist town in the state of Michigan. What can we do to tie to I-75? We are setting up coffee shops here. We have 3 truck stops, so that's kind of nice. But I think the inflation issue needs to be less government and not big government. And I also believe the economy is going to be driven by the entrepreneurial spirit, and we need that. We really do need the entrepreneurial spirit to lead the way out of that issues. So, and the new industries, the hot industries are cannabis, hemp, drones. We need to look at some of the new industries that could lift up things. So.
Michigan ranks 49th of the 50 states in population growth. How do you plan to bring more people to the state?
We're attracting more people, or we're losing more people? Is that what you're saying?
So essentially, every state is growing because obviously
right.
We're having more kids, but Michigan is growing slower than 48 other states.
Well, again, how do I deal with that? I think we need to get a new governor. I think taxes are a little too high. I think we've got too much regulations. I think we need to free the people up. Nobody wants to be told what to do. And talking to business people, and I talk to a lot of them, they're frustrated because of all the different regulation and all the costs of expensive things. And so we've got to have a forum of business leaders and community leaders to figure out what we have to do to draw people into your community. I think a good education system draws people into your community, and when you have a bad education system, you lose people. We went from 12,000 people down to about 9,000 people here in Bridgeport alone. We've lost people, and you ask yourself why. Well, crime, those shootings sure aren't going to help people. A school system that doesn't offer a lot for their kids. We used to have a marching band that was proud of it. We don't have this. We used to put on plays in the auditorium. We don't do that. And that's got a lot to do with, I think, the fact that, the leaders in the system, they moved out. And where are they moving to? They're moving to Florida. They're moving where the taxes are not as bad, or where you have a lot more freedom. It's sad, but yeah, people are leaving. And Michigan is amazing. We got 4 seasons. We have the Great Lakes. You know, this is probably the best in the cannabis industry. It's the best because we have the Great Lakes, and they claim it's the second richest land in the world next to the Nile River. So we have a lot here. We should be focusing on our agriculture. There's 56,000 farmers and 10 million acres, and we really need to, you know, retain the farmer, keep the farmer in place, and I do believe that these small communities with one parents, we've got to figure out how we can do more for them, and because they're difficult to raise a child with 2 parents, but to do it as one is even more difficult. And so demonstration compassion is, I still believe, the key. You have to demonstrate that you care. And how do we get people to stay here? By having a state that's more open, more fun. You know, I don't think Frankenmuth has lost anybody. You know, I don't think towns like Freeland have lost anybody. I think Swan Valley is still growing. It's just these distress areas that people want to get out of, and some do leave the state and some don't. A lot of our young kids leave the state. You know, that's the other thing. They go to college or go and they leave the state to other, and so how do we get them to come back? I don't know. In Bridgeport, we've had over 10,000 alumnus graduate, and I really believe that we need to tap into that alumnus because they all have childhood memories here. They all have things here. So how can you get them back to invest, to maybe even look at buying real estate here? Because real estate-wise, I think we still have really a good market for real estate here. I mean, a home you could buy in this community would blow you away compared to going to another community. So, but those are good questions. You got good questions. I have to think about those. So.